And so today we're going to have a special mindful movement class in a school bus. I'm unexpectedly in Austin, Texas for a last minute business meeting that I'm having this afternoon. And last night and tonight we're staying in a school bus converted into a tiny house. And this is my first experience of a tiny house here. Here and anywhere. So before we start class, I want to invite you to this pretty cool school bus. Here, so all the way you have a little kitchen, and let's see if we can go all the way to the back to see. I mean, I might not be able to go all the way to the back because I'm plugged here, but you can see the bedroom over there and the bathroom over here, and there's a shower behind this door over there. So anyways, I wanted to give you a little tour of the facilities before we start class. So that goes on with my traveling mindful movement. You've been to Santa Fe, you've been to Tulum, and now you're in Austin in a school bus. And we're going to play in a school bus, which is pretty cool. And we're going to start the class in just like a minute. And I'm going to give you a few reminders as usual for this class as other classes on what to expect and what to do. I'm going to put my microphone down here. Hopefully you guys can hear me well. And as usual, you'll be able to talk at the end of the class and exchange some information and some questions and everything. But for now, I'm gonna lock your microphones, mute you all, so we don't have sound disturbances around. A reminder to do not turn your video cameras on until the end of the class that we have the question and answers. And to start, first and foremost, you need a chair. This is going to be my chair today. And you need a chair to practice the whole class. Today, for sure, we're going to be on the chair. I doubt that I'll get up from the chair because, as you can tell, the space is a little restricted. And then I cannot push my computer further back here because there's a little wall right behind. So you wouldn't have me full and tall if I was to stand. So we'll do everything on the chair today. And you want to be barefoot. I myself gonna wear some socks today because the floor is really cold. It's in the 30s in Austin today, so a little chill to have my feet on the floor. Maybe at some point I'll take the socks off, but most probably I'm gonna keep my comfy socks on. So if that's the case for you, that your feet are cold, because I know that in Dallas it's pretty cold today too, then you keep your socks on, but try to have loose socks, old socks, really comfy socks, so that you can move your toes inside the socks. Then you want to breathe only through the nose. Is that possible to you? If you're congested, do your best, but obviously if needed, you use your mouth. But if it's just by default that you're breathing through your mouth, try to switch breathing only through the nose, in and out throughout the whole practice. Next thing to consider is your relationship to pain. So hopefully nobody's going to have any pain today. It's going to be all nice and flowy, and you're going to feel super young because we're in a school bus, right? But if you were to experience pain at some point, acknowledge the pain, watch the pain, respect the pain, bow to the pain. Means that you're not pushing through edges of pain, you're not getting frustrated at your pain, you're not thinking, I know better, I can do better than this, I'm gonna push harder and let go of that pain and forget about it. I want you to watch the pain to see what the pain is doing. If it's pain that was already there and it's intensifying, then you stop whatever you're doing and you keep on breathing and watch how that pain is shifting, not shifting, staying, going, maybe readjusting a little bit of the movement that we were doing, and try something a little different, watching me and making sure you're doing exactly what I'm doing instead of something maybe slightly different. If that doesn't go away, you just simply sit, watch, breathe, be with it. Don't get frustrated, don't push it away, don't be mad at it. If the pain starts upon a specific movement and the pain was not there before, then even more you want to stop watch, see what's going on. If you're doing the movement right or you're doing it like slightly off, you can adjust, try to do it again. If the pain keeps on coming back or stays, same than plan A, you sit, you breathe, you wait for the next movement. If the pain starts shifting shape, texture, and intensity towards less and just being slightly unfamiliar, then you can proceed in the movement you're doing, but still being watchful and noticing what the pain is doing. Next thing is how do we use this technology that allows us to be together live streaming. So if you see me right now in a tiny box inside a tiny school bus, you want to expand that box to a bigger view to take the full view of your screen, and you're going to go to the upper right hand corner of your screen where it says view and click there and select speaker as the mode, and then you can also go there and select full screen so that my window opens up to the full capacity of your screen size. If you're having some issues today with your internet, your computers, things are frozen, not working, know that you can always come back to this call and click back on the link, re-enter the password, and ta-dam, you're back on. If you were to not be able to come back on because your technological issues are still going on your end, or you have to leave for some reason, know that we're recording the calls and that eventually you'll have this class posted with the date of the class on our YouTube channel for you to revisit as many times as you'd like, along with all the other classes that are there, and they're staying there. It's they don't expire, so they're there to stay for you to enjoy for weeks, months, years to come, unless YouTube technology changes or something. But I mean, that's, you know, once it's posted there, usually it stays there forever. And so that's on that, maybe technological issues you might have. If you have some questions regarding this class, regarding the program that this class is run under, which is the Generations program of the Methodist, then you can pop up on the chat window, which you access from the bottom of your screen. Clicking on that chat button will open a pop-up window, and you'll be able to type in whichever message you have, whether it's a comment, a question, an insight, whatever you want to share. And that's also where we post information about where to find the offerings of this program and the link to my YouTube channel. So if you don't have those, you can go on the chat window and either copy and paste those or click on the link that are provided and then save them into your bookmarks on your browser. And I think that's it for now. I think that's what we have for now, and if anything else shows up, remember you can go on the chat and somebody will answer from the Generations program to the extent of what they know and their expertise. And if it's something relating to what I'm doing during class, then I'll be answering at the end of the class when we go into question and answers and comments, and we all turn our video cameras on, or whoever wants to turn their video cameras can do it, and I'll unlock your microphone so that you can talk to me and talk to each other. All right, and we're ready to start. I'm gonna make sure there's no messages for me before I start. And let's start. Taking my microphone with me so you can hear me well. I'm gonna put it here today. You might be able to hear me better actually than usual. Get this closer. And let's come to the edge of our chairs to start moving. And again, I have some socks on today, colorful socks. Those socks, I've had them for years and years, so they're loose and nice and comfy. No restrictions to my toes to play inside the socks. And you're gonna bring yourself to the very edge of the chair where you're still fully supported, but if you were to do a tilting, you feel that you're almost rolling through the edge and forward into the space between the legs and the floor, right? So that's how far forward you want to be. Still supported, but with that possibility of wider space and reach forward as you tilt. And then you bring your feet hip distance apart. You want your feet to be parallel, no toes out, no toes in, no one foot out and the other in. And for that reason, to make sure that you're exactly in that position that I'm describing, I want you to have a visual and look down and make sure that's the case. Sometimes we're not aware. From this perspective, we think that we're perfectly aligned and doing whatever I'm saying. But then you look and suddenly you see that your right toes are slightly out like this. You're like, huh, interesting. Okay, so let's put it back in. The inner edges of the feet are parallel, and that brings the knees parallel to each other, hip distance apart. And that's where you want to have that full alignment of the legs from feet to hips. And then you want to bring your back nice and long. You want to tilt your pelvis slightly forward so there's not this tendency of rounding back. Now we have plenty of space behind us to play with a wide range of movement with the torso, and we have plenty of space underneath the legs to work also a fuller range of motion leg-wise. And then you bring your hands to rest on top of your thigh. And you relax the shoulders down. Maybe you move them around a little bit to find the right spot. And maybe again also you want to tweak and adjust your head. Move it around and find the right alignment here. And then you settle in. And you close your eyes. And that's where we're really starting here the journey into the mindful movement world, inner world, where we're going to start tapping into our bodies, starting with the breath, allowing the breath to be full, to be deep. If it's not the case at first, don't force it. Again, don't judge it for what it is. Just acknowledge the breath and acknowledge where that breath is opening up into the body, is expanding, is feeling a little deeper in all directions and creating some physical movement already internally. An expansion on the breath in, a gentle deep release, and slight contraction maybe at the bottom of the breath out, where you feel that the belly engages a little bit to push the air out of the lungs. And you notice if already the quality of your breathing starts shifting and changing. You might have started with restricted, shallow breathing, and you might start feeling that after a few rounds of breath, as you become more aware of it and pay attention to it, you're opening the ways for your breath to become a little freer, smoother, to expand a little deeper and wider, which starts taking you into exploring the body. You're using the breath as an instrument to check in with how your body is feeling. And in this experience and exploration of the body, what normally comes first is the areas that are not quite happy, that are a little crampy and a little bit uncomfortable, lacking of ease, a little achy maybe, tight. So find naturally those areas again will come up first. So listen to them, watch them, acknowledge them. Say, okay, I see you, I feel you, you're there. Yeah, something is a little off today, but I'm here to be aware of it. And then once you've gone through those different areas that have a little more intensity to them, then you can access other areas that feel comfortable and at ease and happy and joyful in whichever form that they're expressing themselves. They're not giving any issues for right now. And they feel young and vibrant. And now you start having a clearer mapping of your whole body through the bumps and the clear, calm lens. And take a couple more breaths now, connecting to the contact of the feet with the floor and the sit bones with the chair. And now it's not just about you. You're not moving alone, unsupported. You actually having access to the powerful tool of grounding and having surface of support to spring and bounce and expand movement from. And you have also a sense of stability through a downward flow of gravity. So there's this polarity between pressing away from the floor and the chair to feeling compressed, a little bit compressed down through gravity. And in between those two, that's where movement happens. Take one more breath here with all that into the picture, into the screen of awareness and your field of attention here. And you can now open your eyes, and we're going to start a little waving of the spine from side to side. And it's a waving, it's not a tilting. You're trying to move. Last class we did a lot of movement isolation of the rib cage, sliding from side to side. So you're trying to find that fluid movement of the spine, waving from side to side. And that might start with an awareness of the ribs and the waistline, and it's starting right at that line. But then it might evolve into getting a little more open from that access up into the shoulders. And then eventually watch if your head naturally is able to drop gently from one side to the other side. And that's the very end of the wave, attaching to the head from the cervical spine up into the head. You're making sure that your sit bones are rooted into the chair, your feet are pressing gently down into the floor, so that the spine feels safe also to move in such ways. And next time you're swaying out to the right, we're going to stay here and release the right arm down to the side. If you have arms to your chair, it's going to be past obviously the arm, but still try to rest it and relax. And here we're going to rotate the right hand and right wrist. Kind of move the fingers here. Relax your head to the side. Maybe if your neck is a little uncomfortable at first, you might tweak a little bit by moving the chin in and out a little bit and find the right spot. And settle that head when you find it. And let's start reversing the movement of the right hand and wrist. And relax that arm and lean over to the right a little deeper as you bring a sense of heaviness to your right hand, right arm, and right shoulder. Now on the right side, there's a dropping and heaviness and compression on the right side of the waistline. On the left side, there's an openness, an expansion, and a stretch. And then we bring the right hand back to the right leg and push our way up. Now let's tilt to the left. Release the left arm to the left. Press down into your feet. Especially here, what can really help is pressing a little stronger into the left foot, so that gives you your edge here for the torso to lean over to the left, feeling safe. And then you start rotating the left hand. Again, if you need to move your head a little bit at first and find the right spot, do so. And reverse. And release the movement to now drop heavier through the left arm. Feel the stretch through the right side, the opening through the ribs, and bring your left hand back to your leg, push back up, and back to center. we're gonna lift the shoulders up to the ears at the same time that we're rounding a little bit the upper back. So you lift and round, bring the chin down, and then lower the shoulders down, spread them back. You can even use your elbows to roll back, lift the chest up, and gently look up to the ceiling. And then back in, shoulders up to the ears, round in, chin down, and shoulders, elbows back, lift the sternum up, gently look up, open the throat a little bit here, open the neck, and again, back to neutral, then lift the shoulders up to the ears, round into the upper back, chin down, elbows are coming forward, and then elbows back, shoulders back, lift and stretch from the sternum through the front of the belly. And 2 more. Shoulders up, chin down, elbows forward, spread between the shoulder blades. And soften down, pull back, lift up, shoulder blades reaching in together a little closer. And last one. Lift the shoulders, round in, look down, chin down. And shoulders back and down, shoulder blades together, stretch the front body. And come back to center. Gonna bend the right arm, hand in front of the chest, and you're gonna roll the elbow back. So there's gonna be a rolling action of the elbow and shoulder, and then the hand is sliding from the low belly up toward the throat and rolling back. And breathe. Make sure that all along and within any movement we're doing, you're capturing your breath as being a big component of the movement. It's not secondary. The breath is leading the way into opening, stretching, closing. And here, as we keep on moving a few more on the right side, you can also kind of visualize or perceive that through this movement, you're opening a lot more space and you're massaging the right lung, as well as any organs that are on the right side. You have the liver down here, you have part of the guts a little lower, you have the gallbladder. So you're not just moving physically, but a little bit energetically also. 2 more. And release back to center. Now notice as you're back to center and doing nothing for a bit, just breathing, notice the difference between the right side of the body and the right side of the torso and the left side. And let's go to the other side. We're starting with the hand at the chest level, so that gives you the bending of the elbow that we're looking forward to, or looking into bringing into movement. And then you're going to start rolling the shoulder, rolling the elbow. If your shoulder is a little frozen today, that might be the movement, tinier, and so your hand might stay around that chest center. If you're able to go a little wider, the hand goes up and down through the front body from the belly to almost the throat. And now we're cranking up the movement into the left side of the body, opening through the ribs, into the left lung, into the heart, down into the left kidney. And a few more here. And relax, hands back to the legs, and feel around the shoulders, from left to right, right to left, sides of the ribs. Feel the torso. And breathe maybe a little deeper, because as we moved around the lungs, that might have opened or clicked, kind of turned the switch on for the lungs to be a little more available with more spaciousness to function in. Bring your hands forward to the top of the knees, and let's start now with the hips. Rolling the hips forward and back. Rolling the pelvis forward and back, and you're literally rolling onto your sit bones, from the front of the sit bones to the back of the sit bones. And this is an area that I've noticed for all the years that I've been teaching here in the US that is quite locked, because when you're sitting for long hours at a chair in the same stiff position, which a lot of time we're not even in a good position, in a good posture, because the back is rounding, we're kind of collapsing on the chairs, and so that freezes from waistline down into the hips. And for some of us, it might be really challenging to isolate the movement to the hips here. So it might take several rounds to start unlocking a little bit of ease, or a little less challenging movement into the hips. Let's go a couple more, just at the level of the hips. So my shoulders are staying in position, not going anywhere. And then we're going to go into the full expansion of the movement, the full spinal wave from the bottom to the top. So you start from the hips, and then you go into an arching of the back. You're poking your lower ribs forward, and then you roll the shoulders back and you stretch up, chin away a little bit. And then you round in and back, and you hug the shoulders forward even deeper than what we did before, which was the warm up. You drop the chin down, you feel the spreading from the spine out to the sides, and then again rock the hips forward, extend up, and exhale, round back. Squeeze the belly in. Inhale, soften the belly as you expand the breath, arching forward, and exhaling, progressively squeezing and hugging back. 2 more. Breathe in and breathe out. And last one. Breathe in and breathe out. And coming back to neutral. Let's go down on the feet, down to the feet, so that very selfishly in this one, I want to awaken my feet so they don't go all the way to be completely frozen. So let's tap the toes up and down. Let's move the toes, wiggle the toes, lift up, and play with the toes. Make sure we haven't lost any toes because it got frozen. And this is also another movement that can be challenging for a lot of us, especially if you're the kind of person that is wearing shoes all day long, and I know a lot of you do. So isolating the movement to the toes feels very awkward and very unfamiliar at first. Even though as kids probably you did run away from your mom wanting to be barefoot and running in the garden, and then they had to chase you down, put your shoes on. So get back into that feel. And then we're going to go from the toes. You're going to lift the toes first, as far as you can lift them. So here is a little hard to see how I'm lifting my toes. I'm going to take my socks off. Here I have a little heater, by the way. I have a gas heater. So here I'm pretty warm. My toes are a little far away, but lift the toes up and then lift the feet up and come to the heels. And with your feet flexed, you're going to press onto the heels, walking your heels out and in whichever pattern you want to do, but you're pressing onto the heels, keeping your feet flexed. You're poking holes on your floor. And keep your toes active. Even maybe try to stretch your toes out. Feel the stretch all the way to the ball and the sole of the feet, and press down a little deeper through the heels, and now feel the action of the legs. And breathe. And then back to hip distance apart, and you're going to rock your feet forward and back, meaning that you're lifting the heels on one end and you're flexing your feet on the other end. Rocking forward and back, stretching the front of the ankles and stretching the back of the heels and the sole of the feet. And feel the action from the front of the shin bones to the back of the calf. And then let's stay up on the toes and ball of the feet. And again, we're gonna press and walk around as if you were in high heels. Heels up. And you're walking around and pressing as much as you can, because that's also a way to stretch your toes, especially when you bring your feet a little closer in and back, if that's available to you. You get a stretch of the toes. And to be able to go in chaotic movement here, because we're not following a specific pattern, feel how your belly is engaging as a stabilizer to allow the legs to go around and the feet to step in different ways with different pressures. And come back to hip distance apart, land, neutral spine and neutral position. I'm gonna roll the feet in and out, allowing the knees to follow the movement, but the spot of awareness, the area that you're focusing on, is the feet. It feels really different when you shift to, okay, I'm gonna move my knees out, and that's where my awareness is. And the feet completely relax here, and they're just following because the knees are opening and closing. And now shift to being aware of the movement of the feet rolling in and out actively. And so obviously the knees are following, but now they're following, they're not leading the way. And back to neutral, land, press down into the left foot, grab behind the right leg, clasp the fingers, and lift up as you lean back. And let's move around the ankle, rotate the foot all the way to the toes. And reverse. And stop rotating the foot to now swing the legs. Using your arms, you're going to swing your leg from side to side, across gently to the left, to opening to the right. And next time you're opening your leg out to the right, press down into your left foot. Make sure your left leg is not getting lazy like this. You press down and you turn your head to the left. And now you're going to swing your leg out to the left and turn your head to the right. Open the leg to the right, turn your head to the left. Close the leg to the left, open, and turn your head to the right. And one more. Leg to the right, head to the left, press down into the left foot to stabilize. And then bring your leg over to the left and turn your head to the right. And come back to center and forward, land, and release. Take a moment here, a breath or two. Find your center, find your grounding, find even weight into your sit bones and feet. And let's go for the other side. Leaning forward from the hips, you're hinging from the hips to catch behind your left leg. You're pressing down into the right foot and you tilt back, lift. And let's start rotating the left foot. And make sure that here you're supporting the weight of the left leg through leaning back without rounding. So you're using the weight of your torso to naturally support the leg. It shouldn't be overly challenging here to stay in this position. And then reverse the rotation of the left foot. Deep, long breath. And stop rotating. And now you're going to close and open the leg. Opening to the left, closing to the right. And breathing as you move your leg from right to left. And here also the leg is completely relaxed. The leg itself is not doing anything, is not activating to open and close. The opening and closing comes from the arms that are supporting the leg here and are dragging the leg to the left and closing it to the right. And then we're going to add the movement of the head. So open the leg out to the left, turn your head to the right, press down into the right foot. And then closing the leg across to the right, turn your head to the left. And open the leg to the left, turn your head to the right. Close the legs to the right, turn your head to the left. And let's go for 2 more. Leg out to the left, head to the right. Leg to the right, head to the left. And last, open the leg out to the left, turn the head to the right. Close the leg to the right, turn your head to the left. And bring everything back to center. Shift forward to land your left foot down. And pause and rest. Hands land back onto your lap. Feel your spine, feel your belly. That might feel a little warmer, a little more engaged because it did have a strong action here to open and close the leg. Good. Opening the right foot out. You can open the toes, open the heel. So you're pivoting on the ball of the foot. Land and then open the toes again, and that's going to be your position here. Make sure that as you did that your foot didn't slide away, neither in. Still here you want the same alignment, the same shin bone perpendicular to the floor. And then you're not going to kick your left heel out, left toes out, left heel out, toes out, and find now your spot where your toes are rotating in, your whole leg is rotating in. But you find the distance that is right for you for the left leg to be straight. So know this. You're pressing down into the outer edge of the left foot. Your left knee goes away from the floor. You're not completely locking your kneecap up, but you're making sure that your leg is as straight as possible and you're inner rotating your left hip toward the right. So now you should not be having the heavy weight on your left sit bone. All the weight is into the right sit bone, the right foot, and then you're extending and pressing out through the outer edge of the left foot. Both hands come to the right knee and right leg, and you're leaning forward a little bit into it without bending the left leg. Press away and down, and from the pressing away and down, try to move your left hip forward a few times. So we're going to rock the hips back a bit and forward. You can even, for that, bring your left hand to your left hip. So that gives you not only a feeling, an internal feeling, but you have your left hand with the sense of touch, getting the signal and getting the experience of the hip moving forward and back. And you can even with that use your left hand to push a little bit your hip forward toward the right. And you roll here, and then you roll back, and keep your left leg straight. You roll forward toward the right knee, and back, and forward, and back, and one more. Forward toward the right knee, and back. Next time you're going forward, we're staying here. Inner rotation of the left leg, the left hip towards the right knee. Ground and press down into the right hand. I'm not bending the elbow here. Straight arm. And here that way the torso also is supported. And we're going to roll that left arm. Stretching forward to the right, up and back. Keep the left leg engaged. And roll. One more. Now you're going to stretch that left arm forward, bring it a little further across to the right, and then swing it open to the left. And then reach out to the right, across a little bit. Feel the left shoulder blade popping out and away from the spine, and then swing out and back, shoulder blade together. And lengthen and stretch through the leg and the arm. 2 more. And last. And release. Hands to the front leg. You're going to slide your hands a little further up toward the right hip along the thigh and push and lift the torso. You're pressing down with your hands and stretching the front of the body up. Press down into the right foot, press down into the left foot, and soften and relax. Come back to sitting. So now you can bend your left knee as you bring your left heel in, left toes in, and then right toes in, right heel in, and back to parallel. And stay here for a breath or 2, reset, and feel and notice the difference. Notice what changed, what shifted, what is still processing and shifting, because even when we release, there's still a lot going on. From the release, you start having different sensations: tingling, warmth, coolness, expansion, sense of heaviness again, softening and relaxing, all the spectrum of possibilities here. And let's go for the other side now. Open your left toes out, left heel out, left toes out, and stay. Again, make sure that this is the same alignment of the leg than when you had it forward, but it's easier to do it that way than just like guesstimating and doing this. Sometimes it's easier to have that distance here. And then left hand goes and rests on that left leg as we start opening. Heel, right heel back first, and then right toes, right heel, right toes, and find your position where the important thing here is that your right toes turn in. You don't want the right toes out like this, because when you try to go to this side, now you have a lot less range of motion, but you also put stress into the right knee because you're trying to rotate the knee towards the left, and it doesn't have that function naturally. The knee can just bend this way. So you want to turn the right toes in, because now see, the knee is rotating toward the left. Naturally, it's already in position. And from here, you can move the hip back and forward, but the leg is still up. This is not the ideal pin to show you that. But the leg is still anchored. So that's also an isolated movement into the hip. You can bring your right hand to the hip and start that rotation from here. And maybe using your right hand to push your hip forward toward the left. And you're going to feel from softening into the inner hip when your hips are back, to when you push your hip forward, you feel the action through the inner thigh and inner hip. Feel how it's stretching there. 2 more. And my shoulders are following the movement of the hips. And last one. And stay. So now we're here in position, toes in, you're pressing to the outer edge of the right foot. Your leg is straight. Your hip is rolled toward the left. So your right sit bone is not rooted on the chair anymore. All the weight is on the left sit bone, and that's where it's really important to keep that left leg strongly engaged. You're pressing down into the left foot. Okay. And from here, we're going to go into the rotation of the arm. Right arm stretches forward, up, and back. And you're creating a circle. If you're not able to lift all the way up, this is your circle right here. But keep the arm nice and long out. You're not doing this. You're not bending the elbow. And see what is your range of motion from the movement of the arm into the shoulder. Keeping the legs in position. Make sure that you're not getting lazy here. Try to extend out. That's going to also build strength in your legs. And if all of this is challenging to you, know that you can rest when needed. If this is painful, for sure you rest. Couple more. And stretch that right arm forward. Bring it slightly across to the left. And then swing it out to the right. Bring it across to the left slightly. And swing it open. And now see how your breath is moving along with the movement of the arm. It might be that you're inhaling when you bring it across to the left and you're exhaling as you're opening out. Or it might be that you exhale as you hug in and you inhale as you open out. Whichever of those two is perfectly fine. It's just finding a rhythm in it. And making sure that you're breathing, that you're not tightening up, holding the breath. One last. And both hands on the left leg. Bring your hands a little higher toward the hip. Press up, lift the chest, proud chest up. Strong legs. And soften. Start releasing that right foot as you have the weight shifted to the left leg. Heel in, toes in, heel in. Sit bone is landing. And then left foot in. And back to parallel. Sit to the edge of your chair. Reposition. Hands to the legs. And feel. Feel the right leg, the left leg, the right hip, the left hip. Deep, long breath. Okay, now we're going to do a little movement of both twisting and activation of the legs in cross legs, which we don't do quite often. Bring the feet in together in the midline. And then if you can, you're going to bring your right leg all over on top of the left. And I want you, a lot of times when we're crossing legs, it's easy to go here and do this. Because it feels more stable here, that you can relax completely here because there's a balance between the left foot being slightly off to the right and the right foot off to the left, and that creates the balance. But because we want to engage the legs a little more powerfully and create some strength, you keep the foot where it is, so slightly off to the left, and you cross your right leg. You can use your hands if you need to lift the leg and bring it over. And to be able to stay in this position, which opens up the right side here to the right side of the leg, the outer right leg, you have to keep the left leg engaged and you have to squeeze a little bit the right leg into the left. If not, it does this. And so that's what you want to do. You want to keep that connection. Press down into the left foot, keep the left knee in position to the front, and this left leg is supporting the stretch of the right leg. You sit tall here. And now here you're going to have several variations and options of what we're going to do with the arms. The first one, the easy one, is left hand to the outside of the right knee. And you're going to grab either the back of your chair or the base of the chair and twist slightly. You don't have to force it and torque it. You press into your sit bones, you press into the left foot, you squeeze the legs together, and you open out. You press your left hand into the right knee and you open and twist the shoulders to the back. That's the first level here. Then the second one is you bring the back, or the top, in that case, the top of your left forearm about halfway forward into past the knee up on the leg. So you have to tilt forward, not round forward, but tilt from the hips, anchor, and then you open back. And that's a twist that goes lower on the spine. And then, for some of you, maybe this third option will be available, and we'll see how that works. So you can, again, don't force it. If we're going to start with this stage here, see how that feels. You kind of leverage here, and then we'll go in this one. If this one is challenging and you feel it pinching anywhere in your back, you come back to the first one here. And then the third one we'll go into is, if you're still good here, you slide down to bring now the elbow in connection with the leg. And again, you're not rounding into it. You have to slide down with a nice long back. You anchor, and then you bend the elbow, and you're going to bring your hands in prayer. And you're going to press into your hands and release. And we'll press, which enhances the stretch and twist, and release. And press and release. So that will be the third stage. Coming all the way up. Last but not least, if this position is not possible for you, for whichever reason, hips, knees, whatever is not working for you, you can take it down as usual with the crossing of the ankles, but making sure again that the left leg is the master leg, meaning that the right leg is being hugged and supported by the left. You're not relaxing like this. You're pressing down, and once you hook the ankles, you bring that connection of the knees so the legs are still active. And here you can do the same. Hand to the outside of the knee, you're twisting back. You can come forward, and you could maybe even go a little lower, but most probably that will be your stretch here. Either here, holding up, or slightly lower. But keep your legs again strongly engaged. Alrighty, let's go for it. So pick and choose. Start with seeing which one of those two options is the one that is available to you. Then again, once you're crossing either at the ankle or the knee level, you want that left leg to fire up and be strongly active. And we're going to start with the first stage. Left hand to the outside of the knee, right hand behind, and you're going to inhale and exhale, twist. And slightly release and press again and twist. And slightly release and press and twist. So we're building up, warming up, going a little deeper maybe each time, and twist. Nice and easy. You're not going too hard in it. It's nice and fluid. Just inviting your spine to twist. And let's go to the second stage of it. And again, we're going to try to go there. If it doesn't work, if it feels painful, achy, really uncomfortable, you cannot breathe, you'll come back to this one and just do another round of this, which is totally fine. If not, come down, you're rotating your left palm forward, and you're sliding onto the top of the forearm to about halfway. And again, you're going to lift up and twist and soften forward. And press the forearm against the leg, open the shoulder, and forward. Press down into the left foot, keep the left leg active, and squeeze your right leg onto the left a little bit. And a couple more. And next stage. So if this second stage worked for you and you feel pretty comfortable and you still have plenty of range of motion, try to slide further down and bring now the elbow in contact with the leg. Bend the elbow, hands come together, and you're gonna bring the hands towards the chest and soften the right elbow down or pull it down and up and down and up, pressing through your hands. And again, if this does not feel right, come back to this one and do another round of this one. And we won't do too many here. Close and open, and last one, close and open and release, and come back up, uncross the right leg, bring your feet hip distance apart again, and shake things out. Shake your legs and back to center. Bring your feet together in the center line. You're not going to the right, neither to the left. Right in the center. And again, we're going to cross the left leg this time on top of the right. If you cannot do this, you cross the ankle, you squeeze the legs together. If you can cross all the way up, you don't drop the right knee in. You keep the knee in the same position, the right knee, and you squeeze gently the outer lower left leg against the right leg. So now you're opening the left side of the leg and you're keeping your legs engaged and activated here. Right hand to the outside of the left knee, whether your left foot is down to crossing at the ankle level or you have a knee crossing. And then left hand behind, either on the chair or you grab the back of the chair. If the back of the chair is way back and you're leaning back, then no, you grab the base of the chair. And then we're gonna pulse again. Press the hand against the knee and twist gently over to the left. And breathe. Just a few more here. And what I didn't mention on the other side is that the hand can follow the movement of the shoulders, or the head can look forward and you're just moving the shoulders. You can try both and see what gives you a wider range of motion still within comfort. And last, back to center. Now flip your right palm out and see if you can slide down to mid forearm or so. And again, you're sliding down, not rounding, but rolling from the hips forward. So the back stays in the same neutral position. And then here you're going to press the forearm against the leg, right foot is pressing down, and you slightly open and close, and press and open and close. And now you feel that the twist has moved a little further down the spine. The first twist was coming from the upper back and shoulders. Now we're in the mid spine, past the ribs. One more. Back to center. If this is your range of motion today and you were already a little challenged here, you'll take another round here. If not, you can slide down and see if you can connect the elbow to the leg, bend the arm, hands together, and you're gonna fold elbows together and press up. And you feel a deep, long stretch diagonal from the back of the right shoulder down to the left side of the low back. And close and open, pressing into the hands. And one more. And release. Come back up. And cross the legs. Feet hip distance apart again. Shake it out. And release. Come back to center. Open feet out. Hands to the inside of the legs. You're going to press out, opening the inner thigh, and then soften, roll the heels out, move your hands to the outer legs, and press gently in. Release, open your toes out. Make sure as you look down that your toes are not far out and the knees forward. If you're looking this way and you see your toes out to the left, then you're off. Your toes, you should barely see the tip of maybe the big toe here, a little bit of the tip of the toes, but the knee and the toes are in alignment. There's no closing nor opening, right? And same with the other side. So that's where you want to mirror right and left. So get the visual here, make sure everything is properly aligned. And then hands on top of the knees, not all the way maybe down there, but just slightly higher. And you're going to tilt the hips forward and the sit bone is going to lift back a little bit. And you're going to lean into your hands and relax the belly into the space in front of you. Keep the chest lifting up a little bit. So you're not doing this, right? You're pushing, shoulders back. Take a couple breaths here. Press down into your feet, feel your legs, press down into the hands, transferring the weight from the hands into the legs. And from here, we're going to take a few rolls. So as you're rolling, you can modify and accommodate with a slight bending of the elbows. And then you push back up and rotate. And your rotation can be as tiny as here to a little wider. The wider you go, the further forward you go, the more you need to press on your legs to keep the connection also of the sit bones with the chair. If you have a tendency to get dizzy when you roll, go very slow and try to look to a point in front of you that is not moving. So in this case, after checking me to see what we're doing, look past the screen into something that is stable and still behind the screen so you don't get dizzy from just watching me. And one more. And back to center, pause. And let's go to the other side. Tilt forward first. Find that weight and the pelvis tilt. And then roll the opposite direction. Couple more here. And back to center, toes in, hands to the outside, push gently in, stretch, release, heels in, hands to the inner legs, push away and open, and toes back to parallel, feet back to parallel, pause just for a bit here. Deep long breath in and out. I didn't take my watch here, so let me see so we don't go over. Oh my gosh, it's already almost time. It's like we're 1 minute away, so we need to close. So much fun in the school bus, like kids playing together. And that's our landing here. We're gonna close the eyes again. Find first your neutral position here. Relax and land the hands softly on your legs. And closing the eyes, maybe you readjust the neck a little bit. You move your head around just to find the right spot. And settle and ground and full body landing from the connection of the feet to the floor, the connection of the sit bones to the chair, to allowing the shoulders to relax down, the elbows are gently bent, and adding a little extra weight to the shoulders to drop a little lower. The neck is nice and long, fully supporting the head, and the head eventually finds that sweet spot where no effort is required to hold up. And again, we connect to the breath. We find the natural flow of the breath in and out of the body, entering through the nostrils, down the throat, filling up the lungs from the low lung, mid lungs, upper lungs. Full breath. And exhaling from the upper lungs, mid lungs, low lungs, squeezing all the way out. And take 1 or 2 more breaths in such a way that you're traveling into the body through the breath, through the filling up of the lungs into the rib cage, and releasing the air out of the lungs, and feel the movement of the rib cage softening in towards the center of the body. Notice if the quality of your breath has shifted a little bit throughout the class. And then see if you can feel the breath even if it's subtle, moving into the belly, meaning that when you're inhaling, the belly is expanding out a little bit like a balloon. And when you're exhaling, there's a slight progressive squeezing and releasing around the belly. And if your breath has grown into its full expansion and capacity, now you might even feel the movement of the breath around the pelvis. Because when you're inhaling and expanding the belly out, it's stretching down into the pelvis, expanding the pelvis gently out also. And when you're exhaling and the belly naturally squeezes in, there's a gentle upward squeezing of the pelvic floor. And that would be the total, full capacity, complete breath movement from the nose down to the pelvis, from the pelvis out through the nose. And now feel your legs, all sensations that you may experience right now, from the feet and the toes up through the low legs, through the thigh, and the contact of the hands with the thigh that create a spot of warmth right there. Maybe it's cooler around the rest of the legs, but a lot warmer as the heat of the palms transfer into the legs, and the legs feed the heat of the palms. There's an exchange here. Then feel your glutes and make sure they're completely relaxed and that you're relying onto the sit bones to root and support the spine. Notice if you're cranking, cramping, tensing, or relaxing the back muscles from the low back to the shoulder blades. Feel the upper arms, low arms, and wrists. Feel your belly, from the surface of the belly to deep in. Feel the chest, from skin in contact with your clothes to deep in, and the space that hosts different organs such as the heart. That's an important one here, slightly off to the left. Feel the throat, from the outside and around the neck to inside, through the passage of the breath in, being a little cooler to the walls of the throat, and the warmth of the breath out. Feel your head, from the jaw, making sure that you're not tightening, or if you are, just watching and realizing that you're clenching or tightening your jaw here. And relax your cheeks. Soften around your eyes. It's very easy. I just got myself right now doing such, to tighten around the eyes. So soften all around the eyes to the eyebrows. And therefore, as you start softening that area, also your forehead might realize that it was tensing up and together, fronting to the midline of the forehead. And so you're relaxing and softening, kind of ironing out the forehead. And from softening the face, realize, notice, have maybe an experience of all around the head, all around the skull, on the scalp, relaxing it all the way to around the ears. And take a few more breaths in the full awareness of your body, and allowing your whole body to settle and soften even deeper. On each round of breath, you're peeling another tiny layer of resistance, tension, achiness, and you're becoming more and more comfortable in the seated position. Maybe you experience a little bit more silence between raging thoughts. And let's finalize this experience with the rubbing of the palms. Maybe they're already warm from the transfer of heat between your legs and your hands, but let's add another layer of heat here. And then bring your hands over your eyes and enjoy, like in these cool days of end of fall into winter where we have cooler temperatures. It feels so good to have something warm, as simple as our hands, onto our face. And there's a sense that we can spread that warmth throughout the body, that the body is fully receiving that sense of warmth and melting and softening, and ultimately inner coziness, that we feel safe and relaxed and abiding into a little more calm and peace. And when you're ready, you may release your hands out of your eyes and down, and start gently opening your eyes, reconnecting to your familiar environment. And I'm reconnected to my school bus environment. What a pretty cool experience here. And that's all for today. I'm coming to you to see if everybody is still awake here.